Unity, U to the N to the ITY. Today, we talk about unity.
U to the N to the ITY.
If you go to any punk or hardcore show, it's inevitable that one of the singers is gonna tell you all about the importance of unity. Just take a look at this guy over here. He loves unity. He won't stop talking about unity. Shut up already about unity over here. I get it, pal. You're all about unity. I think I might have a different idea of what unity is, though. Because when I look out onto the DIY landscape, unity is there, but it's the kind of unity that breeds echo chambers, hive minds, and worst of all, tribalism.
Violence is a form of self-expression! Express yourself!
Tribalism can take shape in many forms. Most commonly, it can be found in sports where fans lose their and get embarrassingly rabid over one specific club or team. In the sports world, I can see how tribalism makes sense and adds to the competitive nature of athletics. Like the New York Yankees have no reason to collaborate with the Boston Red Sox. What are you, stupid? Nobody would benefit from a scenario as volatile and chaotic as that. In punk rock, however, that kind of mindset can do nothing but segregate and alienate. With a sports game, it's typically one team versus another. The beauty of shows, though, is you can book more than two bands. The mutual benefits that could be seen in the DIY world just by throwing a couple mixed genre shows are immediately apparent to me. Let me indulge you. It would introduce people to bands that they're normally otherwise sleeping on. Obviously, it would give more slots and opportunities for young bands and up-and-coming artists. That's a good thing. People would get to meet other people from other walks of life, and through DIY they can find commonality and camaraderie. I think in a world of more mixed bill shows, we could finally get to a relatively close facsimile to the actual meaning of unity.
U to the N to the ITY.
Hardcore bookers will cope and maul and seethe, foam at the mouth, telling you that they do book mixed shows. But that's not true. There are exceptions to the rule with bands like Anxious and Sanguisugabog, who are more emo and death metal respectively. The presence of rule exceptions, though, are the indicators I look for when proving a rule to be real. Without exceptions, it just is the way it is. So when I say we need more mixed bill shows, I'm not including these rule exception bands. I'm talking about a ska band opening for a beatdown band. I would love to go to a pop punk headline show that is opened by a grindcore band. Imagine living in a world where Full of Hell opens for a band like Pup. That'd be sweet. That would be the world I would love to live in. For bookers and promoters, it would be cool to play with this idea too, I think. In a typical show scenario, you have a couple bands at different levels of popularity to flesh out the run order in sorta similar genres. With mixed genre shows, you could book more same level bands in different subgenres. For someone like me, that's a way more alluring ticket to buy. And it'll make me want to show up when doors open and stay all the way to the end. I'm not just going for my friend's band or going for the headliner. I'm seeing quality band after quality band after quality band. And if they are all mid to high level bands, those doors will be a swinging. There are some markets that are forced to put on mixed bill shows regularly just because of the nature of the small town that they're in. But in bigger markets, it's just not as common. Why is that, I wonder? Well, the first reason is I think everyone's just a little bit too scared. The promoters and the bands alike are both terrified to do this. Some of the reasons are silly and some of the reasons are valid, and here they are. They'll have anxiety attacks thinking about how the fans are gonna react. Will anyone even pull up? Will the acts get along? Will the people get along? Will there be drama? Will we get kicked out of the venue? Will there be violence? Will this Go on to Twitter. Oh my god, no. Will there be hate watchers and hecklers? Yeah, probably. That's tribalism. I'm not saying book every band with every other band. You still need to go into this a little bit thoughtfully and carefully. Knowing the crowds and the lay of the land in your neck of the woods will be paramount to putting on a good mixed bill show. You can't just set it and forget it the way you can when you book a home run. And I hate to call some bookers and promoters lazy, but... And the second main reason why they don't engage in promoting mixed bill shows might be the biggest reason of all. Politics. Optics. Yeah, unfortunately, optics and politics are hindering the scene in dramatic fashion and always have been. There's a clear social hierarchy and the scene is filled to the brim with social climbers. This might be the biggest hurdle that the DIY spaces face because it's so intrinsically woven into human nature. We all want to be liked and accepted. We want people to think we're cool. We want to be in the sickest friend groups. To criticize that is to criticize just being human to begin with. And that's not what I'm here to nitpick. If we take a single step back and take a peek at this from a macro sense, we would instantly see how it contradicts the foundation of our core belief system. The unity that is happening out there right now is more like a rallying of the troops to fight the opposition that are the other genres. We need to readjust the crosshairs because the other subgenres are not the enemy. That's friendly fire, my brother. We're all here because our brand of expression and creativity isn't welcome in polite society, so we're forced to do it ourselves. We rent the bowling alleys. We set up the PAs. We man the doors. We book and promote it. You get the idea. We are all the oddballs and misfits of the world just out here looking for connection. Casting out the already cast out losers isn't going to give you more self-esteem, value, or scene points. We're literally in this together, and that's why this tribalism thing sticks in my craw so hard. But this is where it gets a little bit tricky though. The same reason why we have so many great subgenres is the exact same reason we have that nasty ass tribalism parasite lingering on. Evolution. The response and reaction that new bands have to the bands that came before them created both something beautiful and ugly as all hell. The earliest examples are a direct call and response to what was going on at the time. 70s punk rock was a rebellion against corporate rock and roll. Hardcore was a response to the reckless attitude of those punk rockers, and then emo came from hardcore. I love seeing newer bands rise up and take a different stand than the bands that came before them. It's just unfortunate that that kind of social critique and commentary oftentimes manifests itself into bitter resentment. Older listeners have a tendency to dismiss the new stuff, and new jacks will just mock the old heads. That's the cycle. Then the cycle just keeps continuing generation after generation. All the while, all this just keeps feeding tribalism. Nom 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 nom. This monster is a big and strong boy. Throw in Twitter and you have a recipe for perhaps the most toxic, stubborn, and closed-minded experience in all of human history. And that, my friends, will loop us back around to the buzzword gluing this entire piece to camera together. Unity. Having a different opinion or a hot take is not safe out here, when it really should be. That's an opportunity to have a conversation. Expressing yourself authentically has become the most terrifying thing in the world. If you didn't like the new Knocked Loose album, you'll be dragged over the coals. If you make a joke that someone with clout doesn't like, they will blackball you without a moment's notice. They will send you death threats, they will dox you, and they will call you at 3 a.m. non-stop to harass you because they just didn't like a joke you made, even though it's clear you still support their band. And then somehow, you'll be painted as the bad guy. I'm not talking from experience here. No way. No, not at all. If your joke happens to piss off the most hyped up singer in the scene, he might try to bully you into submission to make you take that joke down from the internet. And then if you don't, He might block you, he'll get his band to block you, and he'll get all of his friends' bands to block you, who are also at the top of the scene right now. And all of that when your only crime was just being too funny. Still, not anecdotal, very hypothetical, just a game theory. Totally didn't happen to me. Just kidding, that totally happened to me. Tribalism in DIY, unfortunately, isn't going anywhere. It just goes too deep. It's also not enough of a reason to throw the towel in and walk away from the culture entirely. I'm not saying that tribalism infects all people and friend groups in the scene either. If it did, I certainly wouldn't have stuck around so long. I just think it's something we need to be more tolerant and mindful of. It's not necessarily a peace and love, hippy-dippy, kumbaya type thing, but if you want to preach unity in good faith, you can't also be a bully. We need to see more big bands take other genre smaller bands on the road. These shows and tours should be built around mindset, lifestyle, and attitude, not around the sonic waveforms they create when they pick up their instruments. Scene OGs and lifers, which I'm one of by the way, need to step it up right now. If we don't stop resting on our laurels right now, this boom we're seeing in the culture is just gonna be a blip on the historical radar. Okay, thank you for watching.